tuned for a captivating conversation that sheds light on the power of mentorship, community engagement, and the relentless pursuit of a brighter future for our youth.
Mars and Associates was doing work for Love Life.
Yes.
As they were doing the work for Love Life, the methodology, that's what is key. So young people were flocking in. The center first used to operate for 5 days.
Stay tuned for a captivating conversation that sheds light on the power of mentorship, community engagement, and the relentless pursuit of a brighter future for our youth. Well, as you can see today, I'm not alone. I am with a visionary, director, family man who has played an integral role in growing AYDF and the birth of KeMoja. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
I'm so excited. We are matching today, right? Sure.
I don't know how it came about, but most
God
definitely.
Tell us about where you grew up.
I'm coming from Mpumalanga, a small town called Standerton. That's where I grew up. Born and bred, buttered and sandwiched.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Tell us about your role, who you are, essentially.
Well, where do I start? As I said, coming from Mpumalanga, Standerton, growing up as a young man, there, it was during that time of transitioning from apartheid era to a democratic South Africa. So I finished my matric 94. Got my driving license 94. I voted for the first time in 94.
Sure.
I was fortunate enough I was a deputy. What do they call them if you're part of the IEC? Then, I was deputizing the presiding office. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah. So it was an interesting year. Just like any other young person growing up, there were no really opportunity. But then 95, I went and studied electrical engineering.
Oh.
Yep, that's what I studied. However, I dropped along the way because it wasn't something that really I wanted to do. It was isolated, if you will.
Yes.
But also in maths being trapper. Then Konowal in Mpumalanga, I met the guys who were doing a youth club, it was called SYC, Standerton Youth Club. I joined them, and that's where my passion and my vision was formed. Shortly after that, then a friend of mine was playing basketball. Then I went, met a friend, started interest in basketball. I thought I was going to play. However, when I met, because of my influence, the young guys who were there, they liked me, and I was forced now to be a coach.
Sure.
Having not played, having not been exposed to basketball, then I came in as a coach, and I had to learn fast. And thanks to, a neighbor and a friend of mine, Selby, his name, gave me manual. I had to study quick, the rules of the game to understand, and that's when then we went to your hometown, to play tournaments and whatnot. So that's where it all came from. And this was after I lost my inspiration, my role model, my grandfather in 97, when I had to find myself. Because when you have lost somebody that is so influential in your life, whom you thought you were living to impress, so that they see what you can become. And then it felt like everything had just collapsed, Now, like I said, had to go join basketball and start doing things. And little did I know that was channeling me through, what I do today.
Wow.
And then as you remember, come 2000, we were not sure what was going to happen. 2000 was a weird time where it's like system, everything was gonna crash. But again, I decided to now move to Gauteng to live with my aunt in Orange Farm, but to look for employment, job, and because one was loitering as much as we're trying to be busy. So from SYC, Stand Up to Youth Club, we're trying to raise funds, but potential funders, corporates were not really coming to, because we're not organized. We're young people going amaphepha nje, trying to raise funds. So when I came to a job work, one, I saw a basketball court in Orange Farm. I went to play, say, let me go interact with the guys. And when I got there, I met somebody I knew back from home. And it was an easy transition to get to know the guys. Shortly after, somebody, Love Life had started, was launched in 1999, September 99. Part of it was then the organization that we know today as African Youth Development Fund, Miles and Associates. They were the one who were bringing in basketball as part of the program and life skills. But they were looking for coaches.
Yes.
Now, one of the guys who had saw me with the basketball club and having seen what I can do, the influence, and recruited me therefore to Love Life.
And there was the story of how
there was my life, my journey with Miles and Associates and AYDF had begun.
Sure. Now take us through the beginning of that formation of AYDF and what it looked like.
So the formation of AYDF, so AYDF was registered, launched in 2004. Now, as I said previously, Miles and Associates was doing the same work. So AYDF was registered to carry the work that was done by Miles and Associates. However, Miles and Associates was a commercial for profit, Now, when we approached the government and some potential funders, they were like, we don't work with commercial. We work with the NPO because the funding we give is not for profit. That's how AYDF had to come through now to be registered. And the two entities ran concurrently because Miles still had activities that it needed to do while AYDF was coming into play. And I remember how we said at some point, one boardroom trying to see who can we bring on board as part of a board of AYDF. The list was so amazing and interesting, international people and whatnot. But also, it will be important for me to mention that the very same baby, Miles and Associates, it was because of the Afro-American guy who moved to South Africa in 95, soon after where, South Africa had transitioned to be a democratic state. And he said in his interview, he came, he went to Alexandra, in Alex Township. When he was there, there were a couple of kids, we introduced basketball. The kids who had never seen a basketball before. So he said within a short space of time, what he had seen the young people becoming and transitioning to, his vision was formed, the very same vision layer, Miles and Associates, that then was therefore undertaken by AYDF. So that's how AYDF came about. So so you can imagine, Miles and Associates was doing work for Love Life.
Yes.
As they were doing the work for Love Life, the methodology, that's what is key. The method in which where things were done. So basketball or sports in Japan, because we used to call it sports and recreation department, was used as a draw card for young people. Let young people come play. When they come play and have fun, we give them life skills. It was mandatory that everybody that comes as part of the program goes through life skills. The life skills, it was a motivational program that helps you to dream, see who you are. And then we have sex and sexuality program, and the lives, career was computer program. So young people were flocking in. The center first used to operate for 5 days. They were pushed to operate for 6 days. They were pushed to operate now 7 days. That's how, you know, and the Miles and Associates was pushed. At the time, I was a volunteer.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you were
then
doing all this while a volunteer.
Sure. So I joined them 2001. In 2002, that's when then they headhunted me. They brought me to the office.
Sure. And you started swimming from there.
Started swimming immediately when I came, because remember they were national. So you had other Love Life centers in other provinces, and then I became the so we had clustered the Love Life centers based on where they were located, because there were few, there were not many, I think about 5. Then I became the assistant cluster manager, of which we're focusing on Limpopo and Mpumalanga. And from there
it grew from there. Take us through the practical relationship with AYDF and the NPOs. How does that work and come together?
Now, what AYDF does, and this came from the fact that AYDF initially was the direct implementer, meaning from the office will go to communities to implement the program. And this had happened through the program we did under the funding of I'm trying to think that Tiger Brands were given 2 communities, Mamelodi and Alex.
Yes.
When we did that, we could see that would reach smaller numbers, because now we're direct implementers. However, we thought, you know what, if we go to a community, you identify existing NPOs in that particular community that almost do the similar work that you capacitate them so that they are able to do their work, and then you can focus on what you do.
Yes.
So that model came about, that to say, if we go, we do that in other communities, we replicate ourselves through empowering the already existing NPOs in those communities. It will therefore allow us to reach, more people, within that space, because it means you can do in other communities. This is how, when we met now, Department of Social Development says, look, through our regions office, we already have existing NPOs that we are funding.
Yes.
Now, AYDF comes as a provincial office to capacitate this NPO.
Yes.
So we had that, but when we met DSD, that model now, it gave us an opportunity to ensure that model is being implemented and it's real. That's how we capacitated the NPOs, standardized the program to say what you do on the left is what you do on the right. Because everybody was doing their own thing, to say you need to have so much coaches, this is the target, everybody. And then we instituted what you call a quarterly meeting to say everybody must come together from the NPOs so that they can share my best practices, what works. If Fortunate has found a way that works, let Fortunate share no base so that base can implement and stuff. If base is struggling, Fortunate might have a solution of what base is going through. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Take us through the KeMoja program.
Wow.
And what it looks like.
Wow. So KeMoja, let me start. How did we? And then at the time, we were still having all our directors. We were so fortunate that we had dynamic directors. Our directors were mostly from across the Atlantic Ocean, from US.
Wow.
I remember the founder, Mr. Michael Finley. And then we had Mr. Marlon Smith. So then we're Miles and Associates and Success by Choice. So Mr. Marlon Smith was heading the Success by Choice, meaning the motivation, life skill component or side of the business. While Mr. Michael Finley was the same, however, more on sports, And then we had the head of sport, basketball, Mike Shaw. And then we had another director whom we call JS, Mr. John Stewart. So that's who first UNODC, United Nations Office of Drugs and UNODC. Yeah, UNODC.
Yes.
Now it's
Yes.
it's messing me up. And then the Department of Social Development,
Yes.
National. That's who really approached us. Having being exposed to the work we did with Love Life.
Yes.
So they liked the method that was used, because Love Life, you had hip, hype, and young people, vibrant,
of course.
You know. So they had this concept called KeMoja.
Yes.
And to say KeMoja in its concept, it's a brand, brand that young people needed to associate themselves. In the same line, you'll speak of brand like your Nike, your whatever brand that young people to say, if you and I, Kim, if we are wearing ama All-Star Converse, then you know. So that's how it came up. So they wanted young people, we le brand KeMoja, to associate themselves and speak the same language, to say, KeMoja, I'm fine without drugs.
Sure.
So how about we raise young people that will be KeMojaized? So that's how it came about. So it needed not to be boring. It needed to represent young people for young people. And that's where, with our expertise and experience as Miles and Associate, transitioning to now AYDF, African Youth Development Fund, you know, they call it. And I remember our very first training, it was 2005. Our very first. So that brought the heads from the province. So it was national with the heads of the province. First to sell the concept of KeMoja, you know, because they've not done anything. And at the time, the minister of the Department of Social Development was Mr. Zola Square, you know, at the time, who had approved, you know, the concept of KeMoja. So now training had to begin, and who was to do it, you know, other than you know, Miles and Associates, African Youth Development Fund. I remember we blew them away.
Sure.
Because we had taken their KeMoja, their name, and say, how do you do it with young people? So the KeMoja concept, excuse me, the approach was to, how do you help young people see themselves as to what they can become rather than their current situation? So the approach was sell the future.
Yes.
You know, show them, here's the future here. How do you get there? So if I can see myself, what I can become, I need to deal with where I am and any possible obstacles along the way that threatens that very vision I've seen of myself, to say, if in 5 years' time this is where I am, how do I get there? Obviously, along the way there are spikes,
of course,
you know, that aims to poke holes on my tires, you know, to move me forward. So the KeMoja content, that's how it is. But like we said, it was meant to create an experiential learning that is aimed at having fun. You know, the icebreakers, the energizers, you know, that is why everybody coming will be hyped. That is why I'm saying methodology is what got us across the line.
Sure. And it does sound like a space where every young person would want to be.
Oh, most definitely.
Sure.
Most definitely.
I want us to go into now KeMoja, right?
Yep.
How does it then work with other young people that are in the space?
So currently, or if I say what had happened from there on, because remember, this was owned and belonged to East Social Development.
Yes.
Their structures in the province was there because they work with social workers that would then find volunteers, bring them on board, ensure they capacitate them, and then make the stipend available for the young people. So that, because it had to be peer-to-peer education. It's a peer education. So that's how it worked with young people. While in some instances, depending on how the province is structured, For instance, in Gauteng and in other provinces, they would work with the NPOs. However, it was important that you bring in young people. So that's how it would work with the young people. So we'll bring in the young people between the ages of 18 to 35.
35, okay.
Also, however, at the time, not limited to, because you wanted anybody who has passion for their community, who wanted to do something for their community, who wants to bring back, to give back, in their community, to come through and be part of this. So you can imagine at that time, and I said to you, volunteers.
Yes.
Training and the t-shirts, whatever you kept, was like a payment, as an incentive.
Sure.
Young people would love to have those that at the same time they were capacitated. It's amazing that the kind of crop that will come of young people were, being receptive to the concept, taking them through. And I'm talking about people who had never stood in front of people to talk, So as we brought them, so we ensured our training, this is what now is big, that from the Miles and Associates time to AYDF, we've always pride ourselves with, that the kind of training, it doesn't matter whether it's somebody with the who is an academic or has a degree, to somebody who's a volunteer who has just matric, not even. The kind of training we gave was at the high level. Life change. So you were forced. People will cry because we say go in front of people, talk, do public speaking. First, that's what we'll do. What is presentation? What is facilitation? We'll work with it before we talk about the content, because content was secondary. You as a vessel, you needed to be able to be ready to deliver this message.
Now, looking back from where it started, right, to where it is now, how has it evolved over time? How do we ensure its long-term effect? My
goodness, it has evolved in an amazing way. One, for the fact that what it was meant to do, and as time changed, you could see, because and this is go to the likes of me. So as I was sharing how I came as a volunteer,
yes,
with no expectation. I came just as a volunteer. So it has evolved for the fact that people were still coming as volunteers. However, due to the life's demands, you could see that volunteerism was no longer enough. It was almost like it's no longer working if you will not give people something. And they'll be unreliable. You'll work for people. If they get a call, they needed to be somewhere, they'll go where there's money, So that meant now the program we were forced, we had to now consider through our funders, obviously, and of course, to say, now let's look at, as opposed to just t-shirt as incentives, but stipends. Excuse me. So for me, that was a huge addition. That meant either sustainability and taking the young people and contributing to the issues we face as young people and as a country of unemployment and opportunities. And at the same time, the amazing people that were coming, they were seeing this stipend, whatever they were received, as a seed for them to go ensure that they equip themselves, they get education. From this, people have taken them back to school, themselves back to school, to either, because now they were standing in front of people and talking. They've developed a love for teaching,
Yes.
And as you were saying, it has evolved because people were coming now wanting to be part of this, wanting to be part of this. And now we were venturing into, just apart from just the content, what else can you bring? So it bettered the likes of alternatives and many other components to ensure that as young people make their choices in life, it's the choices that takes them where they needed to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like such a run. That sounds like such a run. And we're so appreciative of the efforts that KeMoja has done, because we know that it has changed many people's lives, including my own, you know. Now, I want us to get into now, what does the future of AYDF look like?
Wow, interesting one. So, AYDF as a non-profit organization, we have a commitment, we have a vision, we have a mission for us to help the youth first, because what you know now is a vision for us to help young people reach their full potential. It derives from where we said we're here to transform young people in the areas of their influence, you know, for them to live positively, for them to have a progressive life, them becoming, great leaders of their own lifestyle, to lead their own lifestyle and influence others to become the same. So that vision, so within that, there's potential. That is why now we said, okay, it's long. How about we make it short, and say we are helping young people to reach their full potential. So an AYDF, it's not a substance abuse organization. It's not a HIV and AIDS organization. But AYDF is an organization that deal with anything and everything that stand in front of the young people, them not reaching their potential. So my co-director, business party says, if paint is in front of the young people, we'll deal with the paint, meaning we'll design the program that teaches about paint. So that's what, so your question to say, what is the future looking like for AYDF keeps growing. AYDF, when this door closes or shuts, it will find another door that will open. And then we have also ventured into now an education space, because we've realized through this program, there's so much we can contribute through our program called Hilltie, whereby it's about study skills who help young people find a better way that work for them in order for them to reignite or to ignite what's inside of them. More especially your mathematics as a subject, because it's daunting. Like I said, I dropped out when I was doing electrical engineering because of mathematics. So nobody took time, to help me deal with mathematics. You see as this big giant that is daunting. So now what the Hilltie program, through obvious the teachers who also young people who have done matric, who come as tutors now to help young people. That's what they do. And also we want to go back to sports, just like I said, during the Love Life days, sports used to be a huge draw card, and that gives young people deserve to play, So now life has become so serious, like we have to take them through these life skills and do this, and technology has added. But how about we pray? Because sports, can give you an opportunity to chill, be amongst other young people and unleash the talent that is in you. So AYDF keeps going, we keep growing. There's so much that we need to do till this vision is realized.
Sure. How do the trainings ensure cultural sensitivity amongst diverse cultural groups?
Yes, of course. South Africa, one as a rainbow nation. Yes. That's very interesting. One, to capacitate the trainers. That's what we also touch on and focus on. One being the language. Yes. In our trainings, everybody's allowed to express themselves in the language they are comfortable with. As much as the language like your English that is universal. Yes, we use it as a medium of communication, however, not limited to. And everybody come, for instance, in trainings like the dietary requirements, you'll have halal people who are coming. Those are ensured that they are catered for. So when it comes to diverse catering for different cultural through our unique setup in South Africa, that is no issue. It's covered. Yeah.
Wow. From a young person who is looking at the show today, what do you want them to take away?
That's a big one. That's a big one. I would say to a young people, never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Keep dreaming. Now, the issue about dreaming is the fact that a dream remains a dream if you're not acting on it. It's important as you dream that you stand up, you take action. There's a saying that says, vision without action is just a dream, And action without a vision is just a passing of time. But a vision with action can change the world, It can first change your world because you are moving towards what you are foreseeing yourself becoming. It's even biblical to say a man must have a vision and a man must write his vision on his tablet, so that it's down. So if I'm approaching a woman and say, I want to marry you, the Bible says we must have a vision, so that I'm saying, I'm inviting you to come help me pursue this vision.
And where are we going?
Sure. Because for you to be a compatible partner, you need to know where are you going. My vision may not be where you want to go. Are you with me? So we should not find out when things are later in life. But let's stay on the question. So to a young man, it's important to have that vision and never let anything be in your way and stop you. They used to say, sky's the limit. The sky is no longer the limit. If astronomers can shoot and go all the way to the moon, it means you can go to the moon. So do not sit, keep pushing. When one door gets shut, ensure that you open another. And I always say, if you do not know what you are about, the environment you find yourself, the company will decide who you become and who you are. Know who you are. That influences the choices you make in life. How do young people get into substance abuse or slip around, to a point of contracting new infections of HIV and AIDS? Because they allow the environment to influence who they are and what are they about. But if I know who am I, what am I about, my decisions are based to where am I going, how am I going there, how do I want to be like when I reach that point. So ensure, if it is the marriage that you want, ensure you get to a marriage you are intact, you are proud of. Give that person whom you'll call a spouse the best quality of yourself.
Okay, so Mr. Malinga, take us through how does AYDF ensure that it remains relevant amongst young people, and essentially how do young people keep coming back and ensure that they are well connected?
One of the things through we've as the trends go, going the digital space, what we've done now, we've started a new department of which we didn't have. Obviously, blame us as directors because we are PBT, born before technology. However, also it's been great, trusting the process. As we bring young people, they come with innovative ways of, how are we relevant, how are we addressing needs, and that is through the new media department. we have started in our office that aims to really to take this content in a way that speaks to the now times, if you will, so that you go with your what is trending, you go with about TikTok and whatnot. So that also says you get young people involved one way or the other. However, also amongst other things, it is through the programs of KeMoja, because KeMoja is out there almost in every corner of the province of Gauteng, through our NPO partners at the regional level. So that's where young people will have access, to the KeMoja program and the AYDF, as long as it exists in partnership with the Department of Social Development, will keep pushing and coming up with innovative ways to ensure the program remains relevant and speaks to the young people.
And are we seeing the change in communities?
You know what? At the face value, it's difficult to pinpoint and say there is the change. You know. However, now this is where it's key for everybody to understand, to say prevention, how it works, because prevention is an information that is spoken, or it is communicated to you. And at the time, and this is what happens more with young people, you go to a school assembly, young people will be goofing around, doing all type of things as if they are not listening, and it can be discouraging to a facilitator or whoever standing in front of them, and this is how do you have people passing a grade to the next grade when they look like labantwana ngeke bapass. So prevention injalo, what we are teaching young people when they have a me moment, when now they take everything they had, they internalize in order for it to materialize. Are you with me? Yes. And that happens because one has to make decision. KeMoja is a lifestyle, it's a lifestyle that I want to live. It is the decisions, making choices, that it's about choice making that in life I'm injured. And we've seen that. So it's difficult because peer pressure, the way it works, you will see more of the negative than the positive. However, where I'm seated, I'm a product of such program. I'm a product of what I was taught. And I know I met my wife through this program. What was happening, Gauteng was happening. She's from the Western Cape, Cape Town. It's the same thing. She came through the same program, KeMoja Programme. Now, through the organization that she had gone and volunteered and became part of the staff and went and implement, through other young people. So yes, the sustainability of the program, or the change and the difference that you say, young people, I've met a number of young people whom I don't remember from the Garden of Eden. They say, Coach, they call me Coach Base. You may not remember me, but you came to my school. This is what you said. And you touched my life. This is where I'm at now. This is what has become. I'm either pursuing business or either I'm a pastor. I meet people who say I'm a pastor, and they went through what I was teaching. So, however, also because the substance abuse campaign, it was meant to have different role players coming together. You have Abo LDEC, Abo local drug action campaigns, that involves the SAPS, that involves sports and rec, that involves this and that. If they come together and everybody do what they have to do, we continue to prevention, somebody do what they have to do, I tell you, we will see the difference.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Malinga.
You are welcome.
Thank you for the contribution that you have amongst young people. I think that is something that will be told even from generations to generations.
Indeed. Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Fortunate Sibande, your host, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.